movie begins in the early 2000s. Bob Ferguson, then known by the alias Pat Calhoun, is a member of a radical underground revolutionary group called the French 75. The organization carries out anti-government operations, robs banks to fund its activities, and secretly helps migrants escape from federal detention centers. Among the group's most dedicated members is Bob's lover, Perfidia Beverly Hills, a fearless revolutionary who never backs down from a fight. During a violent raid on a detention center, the French 75 comes face-to-face with Colonel Stephen Lockjaw, a ruthless military officer. The operation ends in humiliation for Lockjaw when Perfidia outsmarts and embarrasses him in front of his men. From that moment on, Lockjaw develops a dangerous obsession with her. Not long afterward, Perfidia becomes pregnant. Although Bob raises the child as his own, there are rumors that Lockjaw may actually be the biological father. The baby girl named Charlene would later grow up under the name Willa Ferguson.
Stop moving.
Following a disastrous bank robbery, Perfidia decides to save herself. To avoid prison, she betrays members of the French 75 and reveals critical information about the organization. Her betrayal destroys much of the revolutionary network. Afterward, Perfidia disappears into Mexico, abandoning both Bob and their infant daughter. Forced to flee, Bob takes Charlene and goes into hiding. They adopt new identities and spend years moving between isolated sanctuary communities across California. The story then jumps forward 16 years. Bob and Willa now live off the grid in a remote desert settlement called Backdown Cross. Years of hiding have taken a heavy toll on Bob. He spends much of his time smoking marijuana and watching old war movies. His greatest fear is being discovered. Because of this, he's extremely protective of Willa. He doesn't want her owning a phone, carefully monitors who she spends time with, and constantly worries that one small mistake could expose them. Willa loves Bob, but she feels suffocated by his secrecy and overprotectiveness. She believes her mother died a heroic revolutionary and has no idea how much of her family's history has been hidden from her. Meanwhile, Stephen Lockjaw has climbed the ranks of a powerful far-right political movement connected to a white supremacist organization known as the Christmas Adventurers Club. As Lockjaw undergoes a background investigation to secure an influential position within the organization, he realizes a devastating secret could destroy everything he has built. Evidence may surface, showing that he fathered a mixed-race daughter years ago. That daughter is Willa. If the truth comes out, his political career will be over. To protect himself, Lockjaw decides that Willa must disappear. Lockjaw launches a massive military-style raid on Backtown Cross. Helicopters fill the sky, federal agents and soldiers storm the sanctuary town. At the same time, Willa left home to attend a school dance with her friends. As the raid unfolds, surviving members of the French 75 manage to reach her first and pull her to safety. Back at home, Bob barely escapes when Lockjaw's forces raid his house, hoping to capture both him and Willa. Soon, nearby towns erupt into protests as civilians clash with police and military forces. Willa is taken into hiding by Deandra, one of Perfidia's former allies. Meanwhile, Bob desperately searches for her. His only lead comes from Sergio St. Carlos, Willa's karate instructor and a former revolutionary who now operates an underground network that smuggles refugees to safety. While hiding from Lockjaw's forces, Willa begins uncovering the truth about her family. One revelation after another shatters everything she believed. She learns that Perfidia did not die, a heroic revolutionary. She learns that her mother betrayed the French 75 to save herself. She discovers that Bob has been hiding letters from Perfidia for years. And finally, she learns the most shocking possibility of all. Stephen Lockjaw may be her biological father. The truth completely destroys Willa's image of her family. She begins questioning whether the revolution ever achieved anything meaningful or whether it simply ruined the lives of everyone involved. Eventually, Willa's hiding place is discovered. At a remote convent safe house, Lockjaw finally captures her. There, he forces Willa to undergo a DNA test while explaining his twisted obsession with racial purity, power, and political ambition. When the results come back, his suspicions are confirmed. Stephen Lockjaw is Willa's biological father. Bob arrives moments too late to stop it. Lockjaw then hires a bounty hunter named Avanti to deliver Willa to a violent militia connected to the Christmas Adventurers Club. But after spending time with her, Avanti realizes she is nothing like the threat Lockjaw described. Seeing her courage and learning that Lockjaw intends to have her murdered, Avanti decides to switch sides. During a fierce shootout with the militia, Avanti sacrifices his life to help Willa escape into the desert. Meanwhile, the Christmas Adventurers Club has reached its own conclusion. Lockjaw was supposed to eliminate the scandal threatening his reputation. Instead, Willa is still alive. Worse, proof of his connection to her now exists. To the organization, Lockjaw has become a liability. No longer needing him, the club sends one of its deadliest operatives, Tim Smith, to eliminate both Willa and Lockjaw. As Lockjaw drives back through the desert after handing Willa over to Avanti, Tim ambushes him. The attack sends Lockjaw's vehicle crashing off the road. Though badly injured, Lockjaw survives. Willa steals a vehicle and escapes on her own. Tim Smith begins hunting her across the highways, while Bob races desperately to catch up. For the first time in the movie, Willa is completely alone, but instead of waiting for someone to rescue her, she takes control of her own fate. Using her intelligence, she forces Tim's vehicle into a crash. When he survives the wreck and confronts her, Willa uses one of the old French 75 code phrases to test him. Tim has no idea what she is talking about, proving he is not part of the movement. Realizing he is simply another killer sent to hunt her, Willa shoots him before he can attack again. It is the moment she finally stops being the person everyone is trying to save and becomes the hero of her own story. Shortly afterward, Bob finally catches up to her. Terrified, exhausted, and unsure who she can trust anymore, Willa points a gun at him. She demands the secret French 75 countersign, a phrase that only the real Bob would know. Fighting back tears, Bob gives the correct response. At last, Willa lowers the gun. The two embrace, finally reunited after everything they have endured. Although Lockjaw survives the desert crash, the Christmas Adventures Club eventually has him killed after deciding he's become a political liability. Back home, Bob finally gives Willa the letters her mother wrote years earlier. In them, Perfidia apologizes for abandoning her daughter and admits that the revolution ultimately failed because too many people were consumed by fear, violence, and betrayal. Inspired by her mother's words and everything she has experienced, Willa decides she will not spend her life hiding. Instead, she leaves for Oakland to join a new protest movement, determined to fight for justice in a way that avoids the mistakes of the previous generation. While Bob was at home awkwardly trying to figure out how to use his new cell phone, for the first time in years, he is no longer running. And for the first time in her life, Willa is free to choose her own future.
Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.